Charlie, can you hear me?
Yep,
Okay, great.
because two of us are on here, Keith.
Okay, sounds good.
On my tag too.
Good afternoon, everybody. This is Chairman Kevin Damaris. We're just going to need a couple more seconds. We're just setting up now. Remember, everybody, when you come on, you're automatically muted. It's *6 to unmute yourself. Could you hear me? So we got Charlie. Who else is here? Oh, Mello. That's Keith. So we have a quorum. So that's good. Mike, did you pull it up?
It was still trying to log.
Okay. All right. You ready, Mike? Okay. You ready, Chris? Mm-hmm. Okay. Quorum being present, I will call the meeting of the Freetown Conservation Commission to order. Before we get started, I need to read this announcement. So pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, and the Governor's March 15, 2020 order imposing strict limitations on the number of people may gather in one place, this meeting of the Freetown Conservation Commission will be conducted via remote participation to the greatest extent possible. Specific information and general guidelines for remote participation by members of the public can be found on the Town of Freetown website, freetownma.gov. For this meeting, members of the public who wish to listen to the meeting may do so in the following manner: downloading Zoom and entering the meeting ID below, calling the number listed below and entering the meeting ID listed below, or by going to the Zoom website and entering the meeting ID listed below. No in-person attendance of members of the public will be permitted, but every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access the proceedings in real time via technological means. In the event that we are unable to do so, despite best efforts, we will post on the town's website or YouTube channel an audio or video recording, transcript, or other comprehensive record of proceedings as soon as possible after the meeting. Okay, does anybody have any questions before we start? Silence is golden. So let's take a look at our agenda here. The first things on our agenda, we have a list of several, I believe 8 items. They've all asked for continuations. So I'm going to have to go through individually, call them to order. And then one of the members will have to make a motion to continue the public hearing and a second, and then we can move on that way. So the first two, thank you, Michael. So the first one is continued notice of intent for 3 Locust Street. The applicant has asked for a continuance to October 19th rather than to the September 28th. That and B, both are a situation where the lots may not actually exist. Their subdivision plan may have expired prior to them completing the work or undertaking any work. So there may be a whole new filing with the planning board on that. So on item number A, or letter A, excuse me, for 3 Locust Street, I'll call that public hearing back to order. And I'll entertain a motion that we continue that to October 19th. We're going to go back to the, Mike, will 6 o'clock work for you? All right. Does 5 o'clock work for most people?
5 o'clock would be better than 6 o'clock for me, Kevin.
It's better? Okay, 5 o'clock. How about you, Keith?
Doesn't matter, Kevin.
Okay, thank you. So I'll entertain a motion that we continue it to October 19th, 5 o'clock via Zoom.
I'll make that motion.
I need a second. Keith, would you like to second that motion?
I think Keith, we lost Keith somehow. Oh, he's back.
Keith, we've got a motion to continue the public hearing to the 19th. Do you want to second that, please? Keith, are you there, buddy? Chris, do we have him still?
Kevin, can you guys hear me? I'm sorry. I got kicked off.
All right, so we can hear you fine now, Keith. Thank you.
Okay, sorry about that.
So no, listen, no worries, my friend. It's a new time for everybody, so don't worry about it. Again, we have a motion on the table to continue the first item to October 19th. I'm just waiting for a second.
I second it.
Thank you. So the motion's been made and supported. No further discussion on the motion. All in favor signify by saying aye, and this is a roll call, so you just say aye, and I'll state your name.
Aye.
Charlie Sullivan states aye. Keith Mello?
Aye.
Keith Mello states aye. Kevin Demara states aye. It carries unanimous. Letter B, we have a continued notice of intent for 39 Sammy's Lane. I'll call that one back to order. This is another one where the lot may or may not exist. Well, actually, it doesn't exist. They're going to be filing again with planning board. So I would entertain a motion to continue this to October 19th, 5 o'clock via Zoom.
I'll make that motion.
Now I'll second it.
Motion made, supported. Hearing no other discussion, all in favor, Charlie Sullivan.
Aye.
Charlie Sullivan states aye. Keith Mello.
Aye.
Keith Mello states aye. Kevin Demara states aye. Motion carries. Next, letter C, notice of intent for 9 Cliff Drive. I will call that one back to order. The applicant is waiting for outstanding comments from Natural Heritage relative to the work on the Assonet River. So the applicant has asked for continuations till September 28th. We'll do that again, 5 o'clock via Zoom. So I'll entertain that motion.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Motion made, supported. Roll call vote. Charlie Sullivan.
Aye.
Charlie Sullivan states aye. Keith Mello.
Aye.
Keith Mello states aye. Kevin Demara states aye. Next on our list is letter D. We have continued notice of intent, 41 Water Street. Call that one back to order. That is a notice of intent filed to construct a single-family home, grading, and there is some concern that there may be a boat ramp also. The applicant, we're waiting for the applicant to submit a check for us for peer review. So they've asked for a continuation to September 28th. So I'll entertain that motion.
I'll make it.
Motion's been made.
Second.
Motion made and supported. Any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none. All those in favor, roll call. Keith Mello.
Aye.
Keith Mello states aye. Charlie Sullivan.
Aye.
Charlie Sullivan states aye. Kevin Demara states aye. Motion carries unanimous.
Kevin,
Next
the rest,
on our,
pardon me,
ahead,
Kev, are the rest of these also all continue to September 28th?
yeah, so the rest up until H are going to go to the 28th. Is that okay?
Kevin, sorry, I had a encroachment here. I didn't hear what you said.
And so yes, the remaining number 1 items, E, F, G, and H are all going to be continued to September 28th.
Okay, if you feel appropriate, I would make a motion that we continue all of them until the September 28th at this time.
I second that.
Sure. Okay, motion's made and supported. Before we do that, I'm just going to call all of those public hearings back to order, so they're all in session right now. And
Okay.
so we have a motion on the table to continue the remaining items E, F, G, and H to September 28th, 5 o'clock via Zoom. And we have a second on that. So motion's made and supported. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Roll call vote. Charlie Sullivan.
Aye.
Charlie Sullivan states aye. Keith Mello.
Aye.
Keith Mello states aye. Kevin DeMara states aye. Motion carries unanimously. So now on to the real business at hand. So item number 2 on our agenda tonight is a notice of intent. Before we go any further, if anybody is curious about any of these plans, they can be accessed on our website, the town's website. If they go to freetownma.gov, under boards and committees, you're going to look for Conservation Commission. And under that, Mike, where is it now? Conservation Commission filings, and then once you click on that, where do I find them? Oh, right there. They're all. So if you click on Conservation Commission filings, all the documents are there in PDF form. So what we have now is I'm going to call to order the notice of intent for 19 Burns Lane. This is a public hearing, so if anybody from the public is attending, how this works typically is the applicant makes their presentation, then we open it up for questions. If you're a member of the public and would like to get my attention, just say, excuse me, state my name. I will make sure that your question will be asked. Just identify yourself once you've got my attention and I call on you. Just identify yourself for our purposes, for recording purposes. So unless we have any other questions, obviously we are recording this meeting. I didn't think that needed to be stated, but we are recording this meeting, so just people keep that in mind. Okay, if there's nothing else before we get started, I will call to order the public hearing for Burns Lane. Do we have the applicant's engineer here?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, Niall Zager from Zenith Consulting Engineers.
How are you, sir?
Very good. How are you?
Good, thank you. So if you'd like, go ahead and make your presentation there, Niles.
Yes, sir. For the record, again, Niall Zager from Zenith, here on behalf of Mike D. Moranville. We're here for 19 Burns Lane, which has an existing gravel access off of Burns Lane that accesses the rear of the property. It also has an existing kind of fallen down old foundation. It's kind of just remnants of an old foundation that was there. It was an old stone foundation, as well as an old decommissioned, it's kind of an old dug well that was on the property as well. Basically what we have for resource areas is we have a stream that runs through kind of the center of the property and then goes towards Burns Lane as you go from south to north. There is an existing crossing across that stream currently where the existing gravel drive is. That's been, I believe, been there for many, many years. Basically what we're looking to do is to construct a 3-bedroom single-family home with a septic system and proposed new well on the property. All this area that we're working within is all pretty much all field or degraded area that was used as the original yard, a farm, or whatever it was originally intended for. There's really no vegetation that's coming down. It's all within an existing field. Basically what we're doing is just raising up the grade because it is a wet area. We did have perk tests that were done that were witnessed by the Board of Health probably back about a couple months ago, 2-3 months ago. And these plans will be submitted to the Board of Health for approval as well once we comply with all your conditions. Basically what we've done is extended the gravel driveway to the proposed 3-bedroom house. It's going to be a raised ranch style house. And we've designed the septic system to accommodate that. And we're proposing the new deep well kind of by the driveway to accommodate setbacks for the septic system. Besides that, pretty straightforward. With all the wetlands were delineated by Stephen Schmiel of Hydric Solutions and field located by my office, Zenith Consulting Engineers. And I mean, I think besides that, there is actually associated BVW with the stream, and there's also a BVW located to the rear of the property. So we're pretty much surrounded by BVW. You can see the 50-foot buffer that's shown on the plan in red, and then the green, which there's only a small portion of the property that's outside the 100-foot buffer, which pretty much the entire house and the majority of the septic system are located outside that 100-foot buffer. You can see those on the plan. So besides that, we're pretty much keeping the limit of work exactly the way it is out there now. And I think I've answered all the, any questions that I can, and be happy to answer any questions that you have.
Okay. I can tell you anecdotally, we've had a couple of calls of concern relative to the stream crossing. I haven't been on site for a while. It's been a long time. To see or to remember, excuse me, what the crossing is. What can you describe the crossing? Is there a culvert there? Is there something so that we can ensure that the flow, whatever flow goes through that perennial stream, is going to continue?
It's actually just an existing, I think it just overtops the top of the driveway, the existing gravel drive, and kind of just flows like it always has. There is no culvert that I believe at this time. And I don't believe there ever was.
Okay.
So we were planning on leaving it gravel as is, the way it's always been. Unless the commission feels as though it's necessary to provide something more adequate.
Well, I think my opinion is this, that if we don't address it now and water continues to be a problem and overtop that driveway, you may run into a situation down the road where somebody just decides to stop building up their driveway so the water doesn't run over it again, and then we have some sort of problem with backing up or flooding. Yeah.
Understood. So we can absolutely look into that for you if you'd like. And I had no problem meeting anybody from the commission out on the site to go over it, however you feel necessary.
Yeah, I think if we can take the time maybe to look at that crossing to see if it warrants having a culvert, so that we can have continuity of flow. I think, I know I would have a little bit better feeling. I'm not trying to cause the applicant to spend any more money, but at the same time, we've all witnessed what flooding can do. So I think we're just trying to be a little mindful of that. So if you can take a look at that, and if you can come up with something, then maybe a couple of the board members can go out there and meet with you and see what you come up with.
Absolutely. I'd be open to setting up a meeting at some point soon, and with the one, at the commission's discretion, and go meet out there and come up with hopefully a solution that everyone would be happy with.
Yeah, and I think at the end of the day, it's better for everybody, right? If we have heavy rains, you don't need to be driving through the stream to get to the house. We can maintain the flow, and that would be good.
No, I understand completely. It's just on our end, it was an existing crossing, so we just kind of left it the way it was.
No, I know, and right, and you're not alone. A lot of people utilize existing crossings, and some are better crossings than others. It's just in this situation, there's so much work going down over there that it might be worthwhile just to try to do something to eliminate any kind of flooding or potential for flooding.
Understood.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Chairman, but
yes, sir.
as we say, a pound of cure is better. An ounce of prevention is better than a pound of cure. And
No, you're absolutely right, Charlie.
having
You're
relations
absolutely
with
right.
your neighbors and so forth.
No, you're right about that. So, do you have anything else to add, Niles? Because you're right, everything else is pretty straightforward. You know, you get your setbacks for your well and all, and you know that, and from the wetlands for the septic system, I get all that, and it is previously disturbed area. All that has been clear. I just see that crossing there, and I think that if there's not a culvert there already, then I think we should consider one. So, does anybody from the general public have any questions? Nope. Okay. With that being said, do you think we can have something back to us for our next meeting, which would be September 28th, Niles?
Well, yeah, as long, I guess it's a matter of when the commission can meet out on site. When, you know, if we can come up with a you know, game plan on that, I'm absolutely will have this revised. This is minimal.
You can, if you would like to call me tomorrow, and then Charlie and Keith, I know your schedules are a little bit more open than mine. So it may be that Charlie and Keith have to go with you, but let's maybe try and knock it out this week. That way you have next week to work on plans and you have something to bring to us for the following week.
Yes, sir.
Okay, just so everyone knows, I will not be available until Friday. All right.
Okay. See, that's what I get for making an assumption, huh? There you
Yeah,
go.
well, one week, kind of like three, Kevin.
I know, right? All right.
Kevin, I'm
so
at the
I'll entertain a
firehouse
motion.
Wednesday and Friday. I am available Thursday.
Okay. So it looks like it'll either be Thursday or Friday, Niles.
That works for me.
All right. So if you want, why don't you give me a call tomorrow, Niles, and give me a date and a time, and we'll get that out to the rest of the members.
You got it. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. So that being said, unless there's any other questions from the board or the general public, I'll entertain a motion to continue the public hearing for Burns Lane Single Family Home to September 28th, 5 o'clock via Zoom.
I'll make that motion.
No, I'll second it.
Motion's made and supported. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, roll call. Charlie Sullivan.
Aye.
Charlie Sullivan states aye. Keith Mello.
Aye.
Keith Mello states aye. Kevin Demaris states aye. Motion carries unanimous. Thank you, guys. Okay, next, I think, Niles, you're on for this one too, right? You're doing the Water Street?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I will call to order the notice of intent public hearing for 0, 16, and 18 Water Street, the Asona Inn. The owners are Ted Hadley and Mary McIntosh in the estate of Earl Hadley. Representatives Niles Zager, Zenith Consulting. And the scope of the work is construction of a residential three-lot subdivision roadway with associated grading, drainage, and utilities for the bordering land subject to flooding. All work is within a tidally influenced zone and no compensatory storage is required for this project. So the engineer states. So, again, this is a public hearing. If you're from the public, applicant's going to make their presentation, and then we'll open it up to questions after that. So unless we have any questions before we get started, Niles, go ahead.
Yes, sir. So this one has actually been in front of the planning board, and I believe has been approved by the planning board, had went out to review from environmental partners group, had gone through a drainage review, and we've addressed all those concerns that they had. There was about 8 different comments that they had that we went through and addressed. Basically what the project is it's a 3-lot residential subdivision, which does not trigger stormwater management. It's measly just best engineering practice when we're proposing one of these projects. 4 lots or less does not require us to meet stormwater management standards. So when we're looking at this, we're just basically saying we have to make sure that we're not going to create any more create any more drainage issues than that might already be out there. We have to look at it and say, that what we're proposing is not affecting any abutters any more than what they've already being affected by the property. Basically, as far as resource areas go, you've got the Assonet River, where it's just 200. There is no work within 200 feet of the Assonet River. There's a small section on a little finger-like projection that falls onto the property, and we're proposing no work within that area. So there's no riverfront area disturbance at all. The only resource area work that is being done is the land subject to coastal storm flowage, which is all the flood zone elevation, 14, I believe. So what we're basically doing is that line is depicted. I don't know if anybody has the plan in front of them, but that flood zone is depicted on plans and is shown. It comes up basically, if this is the old, again, you have the old Sonnet Inn, it wraps around the front of the Sonnet Inn, and then it goes back behind where the old overflow parking area, gravel area was, paved area, and it runs behind number 18 Water Street. So that's where all that flood zone that we're working within and is within the conservation's jurisdiction. So basically what we've done is we're proposing this approximately 500-foot road down to the back into a cul-de-sac, and these 3 new houses are being proposed. We've created an infiltration basin located behind the existing dwelling that captures the water off of the new development area and infiltrates it within for up to a 100-year storm event. The soils out here are very, very, very sandy and gravelly. So, you know, infiltration is a very easy thing for us to accommodate here. There's also an existing drainage hole located that's actually behind the Sonnet Inn. We believe it was dug there for multiple reasons. One was probably just to remove gravel to be used somewhere else on either on the property or somewhere else on, you know, on another property. We also believe it was probably put there because water, this is a major, this is a fairly significant watershed that comes down the property from down actually all the way up from North Main Street and flows behind the cemetery. And we believe that this was dug in order to accommodate drainage that was, you know, to capture some of the stormwater that was going and hitting the Sonnet Inn. So we believe that was put there. So we actually utilize that and we're maintaining that in its natural state. No part of the homes or the septic systems or the water are being proposed within any of the resource areas. It's only the drainage infrastructure and the first, I believe it's about the first 350 feet of road are being proposed within that flood zone area. We provided an erosion control plan that basically gives the contractor a really good idea of what needs to be done during construction. It has a construction entrance pad to make sure that no sediment gets out onto the road or very little from construction vehicles. We also have silt sock that is being proposed in order to try to mitigate any erosion that comes out into any of the abutting properties or into the road. And we've also proposed a dewatering basin in case any water is hit during construction, which we don't believe that will happen because we didn't hit any when we did the perk tests back in the spring, late spring, early summer is when we did the perk tests and hit no water at that time. So we don't suspect that will be a problem, but we're still providing it. And then we've provided just some general notes that kind of give an idea to the contractor of what to do in certain situations. So that's really the major plan that the commission would be, I believe, would be probably looking for. It has the majority of the information that you would need for construction purposes to ensure that there's not going to be any impacts to any of the resources areas. Again, we're not within any, there's no wetlands on the property. There's no, we don't have no bordering vegetated wetlands or anything like that. It's just flood zone, and no work is being done within the riverfront area. So I think that's really about it. It's pretty straightforward as far as the project goes. Be happy to answer any questions that the commission has.
So you're right. I'll give the rest of the commissioners a brief history. To echo what Niall said earlier, this came before the planning board. We sent it out for two environmental partners group for review of stormwater management, as Niall stated. Everything is in accordance, meet and or exceeds local and state regulations. And the reality is that this project was taking place 3 years ago when DEP didn't consider the flood zone a resource area, they would not even be coming to us. So I will agree with the applicant's engineer, with Niles, when he makes state there is no resource areas there other than the flooding, or the flood zone, excuse me, to be concerned with. So I'm familiar with the plan. I don't know if anybody else has seen it through the planning board's public hearing, but it is true. It's pretty straightforward. There's no work in a buffer zone. It's just in the flood zone, and really that's only during construction. So at the end of the day, Niles, I think one of the conditions I'd like to see is that there be at least enough siltation control on site, not installed, but if we need to have spoils stored or something on site that's going to be stored within the flood zone. And my suggestion is you don't do that, because that cures all if it's outside the flood zone. But if for whatever reason you have to store some materials, you should have the availability, if there is going to be a flooding situation, obviously we'll know about, that you could protect that. You know, obviously construction debris needs to be picked up every day and every night, so that, again, should we have a flooding incident, it doesn't. If we have flooding that goes up that high, we've got issues. We've got real big issues, quite honestly. So, all right. Is there anybody here from the general public that would like to ask a question about this project? Don't forget, if you're on mute, you got to hit *6 to take yourself off of mute. Nope. Okay. And I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Okay, motion's made, supported. Roll call vote to, motion made, supported to close the public hearing. Roll call vote. Charlie Sullivan.
Aye.
Charlie Sullivan states aye. Keith Mello.
Aye.
Keith Mello states aye. Kevin Damaris states aye. Motion carries unanimous. All right, gentlemen. Again, typically this wouldn't come before us, but DEP changed their regulations a couple of years ago. And really the only thing that we need to concern ourselves with is during construction, how we treat anything that could potentially be washed away, if you will, should we have a flooding event. So I don't know about you, but I think if we add the condition that whenever possible, spoils be stored outside of the flood zone, if they, or any material be stored outside of the flood zone, that extra siltation control, silt fence, whatever it is, be on site, should we have a flooding issue that they can take care of. And that there be daily, what we used to call field days in the military, but daily cleanups and walk around, so that, again, should we have any kind of flooding event, it will not carry that material away. Unless anybody else has any other conditions they'd like to add?
I'm good.
Okay, so then I'll entertain a motion that we approve the plans as submitted with the aforementioned conditions.
I'll make it.
I'll second that motion.
Motion's been made and supported. Any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Roll call vote. Keith Mello.
Aye.
Keith Mello states aye. Charlie Sullivan.
Aye.
Charlie Sullivan states aye. Kevin Damaris states aye. Motion carries unanimous. All right, Niles, thank you very much. Do you have anything else on our agenda for tonight?
No, sir. Thank you very much.
All right, well, early night for you then. You have a good night, Niles, and give me a call tomorrow, and let's figure out a day, okay?
Got it. Thank you very much.
Take
Thank you,
care.
sir.
Take care, guys.
Yeah. Okay, so item number 4, we have a continued request for determination of applicability. This is 76 Quantapug Road. This is for Hawes LLC, Acushnet Sawmills, if you will, Borrego Solar Systems. And I believe Julie Goodwin, Prime Engineering, is here.
I don't think Julie is here with me tonight, but Dean Smith from Borrego, I'm here.
Hi, Dean.
Good evening.
Okay, so this is just an RDA, so we will call this one, well, I guess it's not a public hearing, so I don't need to call it back to order, but we will now discuss this application. So if you'd like, Dean, go ahead and make your presentation, my friend.
Okay, I'll try to be brief. This has been going on for a while, but if it's okay, I can share my screen and show some of the plan set. Make more sense as I'm talking.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, it looks like Mike has to give me access to share my screen. There we go. Okay. So hopefully you see the plan set in front of you. So
Yep.
as Kevin said, this is out off of Quantapug Road, out near the landfill out there, actually basically across the street from it. This is the previous systems that we did out there off of, I forget where the address is, but it's off this road over here. I can't think of the name of it right now. But as far as this application goes with the Conservation Commission, there are a series of wetlands that were delineated by Prime Engineering along the western portion of our site. There's also an off-site wetland that was located by GPS. And we are staying out of the 100-foot buffer of all of those wetland systems. So we're not impacting anything that's within the Conservation Commission jurisdiction within the 100-foot buffer from those wetlands. The site is largely forested. We're going to be clearing that to build the system. We'll be leaving a vegetated buffer down here along Quantapug Road, which was increased along the way. We also increased the buffer along the northern perimeter, and we left an additional buffer here adjacent to these residences. We did have a lot of back and forth with environmental partners, and we did a series of stormwater calculations to prove that we're meeting the state guidelines. We also made some concessions about safety here to limit the times of operation outside of the times that the school buses are driving by and things like that. There is a safety plan that's part of this set. And that's really the basics of what we would need to present here before the commission. So I'm here to answer any questions that you might have. Environmental Partners has accepted all of our revisions at this point and given us a clean letter.
Okay, Dean, so you've got your permit through the planning board?
The planning board did approve us at a meeting earlier, yes.
Right. And I knew that, but I just wanted everyone else to hear that. And I think one of the reasons why we were waiting so long on this is you wanted to get through planning board approval in case there were any changes required, correct?
Correct, yes.
Okay. And so you're outside the 100-foot buffer zone with the entirety of the project. And there was one isolated land subject to flooding, but
That's
through
correct.
peer review, that's the wetland delineation line A. Through peer review, it's been determined that it's non-jurisdictional and compensatory storage does not need to be provided.
That's correct. We did have some additional detailed topography done there and presented some calculations that showed that it's below the thresholds to be jurisdictional.
Okay, hold on a second. Mike, do you have any of the approvals for the RDA? Print it out. You know what's that 1, 2, 3 negative determination? Okay. So Dean, you're looking for a negative determination, correct?
That's correct, yes.
That's correct. I'm just trying to figure out, there's different subsets of negative determination. Right. Usually it's a number 3, but I'm just going to look up now, unless you know the number that you want.
I hadn't looked at the numbers to see which one was most applicable.
Whatever one says that you're not doing any work within a buffer zone. That's pretty much.
That's it. And then if anything changes that we would need to come back to you. basically what it is.
Yeah, he's, we're looking, I think it's number 2, but we're just gonna look it up real quick. I say real quick, but we're waiting on a computer, so that could take a little bit.
Negative.
Okay. It's actually negative determination number 1, that the area described in the request is not an area subject to protection under the Act or the buffer zone. So now that it's been confirmed that all work is outside the 100 foot, that the area that we had concerned is in fact an isolated land subject flooding, non-jurisdictional. This is basically stating that, yeah, conservation doesn't have any kind of stake in this. So unless there's any questions from any other board members, then
I'm good.
I would, go ahead.
I just wanted to say, Kevin, I'm good.
Me too.
Okay, good. So that being said, then I will entertain a motion that we issue a negative determination number 1, that the area is not subject to protection of the Act or within a buffer zone.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second that.
All right, motion's been made and supported. There's no further discussion on the motion. I'll do a roll call vote. Charlie Sullivan states
Aye.
aye. Charlie Sullivan says aye. Keith Mello.
Aye.
Keith Mello states aye. Kevin DeMaris states aye. Motion passes unanimously. Negative determination has been issued. There is not work being done within a buffer zone or within a wetland.
Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. So next on our agenda, I think this is you also, Dean, correct?
It is, yes.
All right. So this is I will call back to order. This is a notice of intent for 45 and 63 Brayley Road. This is the construction of a solar energy generating facility. Solar array will occupy about 9.5 acres of land and generate about 0.5 megawatts of AC current. Dean Smith is the applicant's rep, so I will let you do what you do.
Okay, I'll make another brief presentation, share the plan set. So this is our tree clearing plan, Brayley Road out here. There are a number of wetlands on site, which were delineated by Prime Engineering again. There's another small isolated area that falls into the same category as the one on the last project. We had done some detailed topography and presented calculations that showed that this was a non-jurisdictional area as well. We do have some wetland impacts on this project because we need to cross to get back to the rear portion of the project where the solar arrays will be located. So there is a wetland mitigation proposal where we're proposing a replication ratio of 3.6 to 1 for those areas. We also, on this one, had backed away from the wetland buffers for some of our clearing, reduced the total amount of clearing. Very similar to the other project, we had some back and forth with environmental partners, added some stormwater treatment facilities, and eventually got a clean letter from them on this project as well. We also agreed to reuse the excavated material from the impact areas in the replication areas. That was a request at one of the earlier meetings, I think by Kevin. So these shaded areas are where we'll excavate and recreate new wetlands to replace the impacts that are proposed. As far as screening for the project, well, that's not really a conservation.
No, we're going to stick to
issue,
conservation issues.
Yes. So I don't know if there's anything else that I would need to discuss with the commission. I'm happy to answer any questions that the members might have.
Right. Again, I have some familiarity with this because I've seen it with the planning board, but One of our concerns was the wetland crossing, and thank you for increasing the ratio of replication. I see it's 3.5 to 1.
Yeah, it's a little more than 3.5. The environmental partners calculated it at 3.6, but
Right.
it's a significant ratio, and we do have a full mitigation plan as part of this set. I'm just getting back to that sheet.
And typically, Dean, right, we have oversight when there is professional oversight, when there's replication, particularly the size that's going to be done. So we would continue on with environmental partners group to have, whether they said Brooke or somebody else down there.
Mm-hmm.
So before we would issue a certificate of compliance on this, we'd like to see that there would be significant plant life, and we'd like to see that it's taking to the area, if you will.
Sure.
Now, we give a little bit of advice. We're not professionals here, but I can tell you what's worked well. We've talked about it a little bit before, but I'll state it again. Typically, what we like to see on a replication is you would excavate the area to be replicated to the elevation that you want. Then you would go and get the wetland muck, if you will, the wetland material and soils, bring that from the area to be filled, put that into the area where it's supposed to be replicated, rather than bringing in hydric soils and organic material that quite often times take years to grow back and acclimate and all. This way, the soils, they're the same balance. They have the same tubers and roots and pH and alkaline. All that stuff is the same. And we've had very good success. So we can't force you to do it that way. You just need to show the end result is that you have a replication area that's viable with at least, I think, 70 to 80% viability after a couple of growing seasons. We found with this, if you utilize this methodology, one growing season typically gets you to where you need to be. So just keep that in mind going forward. Again, we can't force you to do it that way, but it seems to work pretty well.
Sure, and we have made notations to that effect on the plan that the excavated material is to be reused in the replication areas. So it sounds like a very practical suggestion. So we won't have any trouble following through with that. And Prime Engineering, Julie Goodwin from Prime will probably be on site during this work, as well as having your third-party representative come and do inspections.
Perfect. So other than that, like you said, most of it is outside the buffer zone. There's a few encroachments, obviously the access road getting in, but more importantly, the electrical equipment and stuff is not within a buffer zone or near the wetlands. And, the reality is solar at the end of the day, once construction is over, very low impact on the environment while it's running. So there's not really a concern about pollution and or runoff once construction is over. You have a robust soil erosion plan. I know you've got the siltation barriers around. So, all right. Is there anybody here from the general public that has any questions? Okay. If there isn't, I'd like to entertain a motion that we close the public hearing.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Motion made and supported to close the public hearing for 45 and 63 Braley Road solar facility. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Roll call. Charlie Sullivan.
Aye.
Charlie Sullivan states aye. Keith Mello.
Aye.
Keith Mello states aye. Kevin DeMaris states aye. Motion carries. All right, gentlemen, I don't know if you have a chance to look at the plan. But there is significant wetland, but they're doing their best to stay out of it. Appreciate the fact that they didn't try and wedge some more solar into that strip of upland up there towards the front. So at the end of the day, after peer review or environmental partners has done their review on this, we've gotten a positive review from them relative to the stormwater management and how they're treating it. In addition, they are offering a much higher ratio to the replication. So again, do appreciate that. If there's no other questions, I would entertain a motion that we approve the plans as submitted with a condition on the approval that Environmental Partners Group, prior to us signing off on the project or giving a certificate of compliance, that EPG would review and inspect the replication and give us a letter, and that we would not issue a certificate until such time that we get a positive review from our Environmental Partners Group.
I'll make that
So
motion.
I'll entertain that motion. All right.
I'll make it.
That motion's been made.
I'll second that motion.
Motion's been made and supported. Any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, signify by saying aye. Roll call vote. Charlie Sullivan.
Aye.
Charlie Sullivan states aye. Keith Mello.
Aye.
Keith Mello states aye. Kevin Demara states aye. Motion carries unanimous. I think you're done with us, Dean.
It was a long road. A lot changed over the course of that. But
Yeah,
thank you very much for your time and consideration. And I'm sure it won't be the last time we come and see you.
All right, Dean, thank you. Let's keep the lines of communication open
Sure.
in case there's anything that pops up. So thanks again, Dean,
Okay.
and we'll talk to you soon.
Take care. Bye-bye.
All right, next on our agenda, we have item number 6. This is a continued notice of intent for 0 Wills Way. Is somebody from SciTech here?
Hearing.
Who's that?
Is
Is
some-
Steve
Yeah, but we're
Gioso
not-
here? Anyone? Bueller? Well, ow. Oh, Steve, you might be on mute. You might need to hit *6. I don't know.
He is muted.
I can see you, Steve, but I can't hear you. Steve, shake your head if you can hear us. Okay, well, we can't hear you. Sorry. No, and I'm not very good at reading lips either, Steve. Yeah. Okay. Steve, we'll move on to the next one. Maybe you want to try calling in again to see if that does it. All right. Thanks. All right. So we're going to move on to number 7. This is a request for determination, 67 Cliff Drive. I will tell you the applicant or their representative. This is for Irina Valgavis. The representative is Tommy Copeland, TEC Landscaping. This is to remove and dispose of existing concrete cap, remove and stack existing stone wall down to large stone footing, rebuild stone wall using existing stones on top of large stone footing up to grade, form and pour new concrete cap within disturbed area, reset existing posts and chain link fence. So again, this is an RDA. For those who remember who were on the board a few years ago, Mr. Copeland, and I will tell you this, I spoke to Mr. Copeland today and he apologized. And he was double booked for tonight and unfortunately could not make the meeting. He wanted to remind me to let the board know that this is the same means and methods as the prior repair on that lot. We had approved the same type of work, no machinery. It's all hand laid and hand removed. There's no excavation, just using the existing stones from the wall, basically taking them down and rebuilding it so it's a little bit more structurally sound. He received a negative determination last time, and I can tell you, went by there and you couldn't even tell anybody was there. So he does a good job with that. And unless anybody has any other questions, he did state that the reason she wants to do this other half is because this one is bowing now a bit. It's a dry laid stone wall, and Charlie and Keith, you've been around this town long enough to know that those work great until they stop working and then forget about it. So I think they want to Charlie's point, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure, and she wants to take care of it now before anything else happens. So,
Okay, for the other project, Kevin, and I have no question.
I'm sorry, what was that, Charlie?
I remember the other project
Oh.
well.
Yeah.
I have no questions.
Okay. All right. So that being said, if nobody else has any other questions, I would entertain a motion that we issue a negative determination, number 3, that the area that the work is being proposed in is in a buffer zone to an area subject to protection of the Act, but will not dredge, alter, or fill the resource area.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second that motion.
Motion's been made and supported. Any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Roll call. Keith Mello.
Aye.
Keith Mello states aye. Charlie Sullivan.
Aye.
Charlie Sullivan states aye. Kevin Damaris states aye. Motion carries unanimous. Chris, if we got Steve back? Steve, talk so I can hear you.
Hi, do you hear me now?
There you go, brother. All right.
So I'm not as technologically dense as I thought I was.
Listen, neither am I. That's why if I can't fix it with a hammer or a screwdriver, I throw it out and get a new one. So, all right. So we'll go back to number 6. This is a continued notice of intent for 0 Wills Way. I will call that public hearing back to order. This is a public hearing, again, for a solar project, gravel access drive, electrical cable installation, solar panel placement, and stormwater detention basins. Again, folks, this is a public hearing. Applicant will make their presentation. I'll open it up for questions afterwards. Just politely state your name if you have a question. These plans are online, and so you would look this under 0 Wills Way, and it would be the Wills Way of Sonnet, the plans. Okay. All right, go ahead, sir.
Hi, again, for the record, Steve Giosa with SciTech Engineering. If you want, I can take one shot at maybe sharing my screen and showing the plans so people have a better understanding of what we're proposing.
Yeah, that's fine. Chris, do you need to do anything to let him share? All set? Good. All right.
Okay, so hopefully you can see this, which is the proposed solar project off Wills Way. Just for orientation, over here on the left side of the drawing is High Street. So Wills Way is a little short stub road that was created a number of years ago, and it provides frontage and access to this particular property. The idea is to bring the gravel drive into the project, minimize the wetland alteration by hugging the boundary line here, and then going across a narrowest band of wetlands in the midsection of the site here, before it really opens up to the main part of the site here in the middle. The wetlands line is this area here along the outer edge, comes up into here and down. You'll notice that most of the modules for the solar are actually outside the 100-foot buffer zone. Here's the 100-foot buffer zone running along here and then out around in this location. So again, we've placed the main alteration outside of the buffer zone with the exception of the access points. And then the access continues through the site, another wetland crossing here, and then into the back section of the upland portion of the site here. We actually were originally thinking of putting solar in this corner of the site, but with some soil testing It's got some unusual ledge and topographic features, so we're going to preserve a fairly large area of upland in the back corner of the site here as part of the project, and we'll focus the solar in the back to this lower, flatter area where there is some wetlands beyond the site here. And again, we've kept the modules and the bulk of the work outside the 100-foot buffer zone. So as I indicated, there are crossings required to get the access into this section of the site, and then also this initial crossing. We have utilized the DEP stormwater regulations for stream crossings, and so we are minimizing the alteration of the wetlands. There are stormwater management systems proposed for the project. We have a berm detention area here, maintaining the natural topography down to this collection point. And then we have two in the back, one in this area here, in which we're doing a similar type system where we have a berm and a collection point and a discharge. Again, keeping the discharge almost 100 feet from the wetlands. On the first one that we pointed out, it's probably about 200 feet from the wetlands. And then we have a third smaller control point here in the back with a small discharge. Again, I think we're about 50 feet or so from the wetlands with the point of discharge. The project does require replication. We have a little over 5,000 square feet of replication proposed for the project. And that replication is split into a couple of different areas, here, and near the entry point here. Again, we tried to set the replication close to where the actual crossings were occurring. So again, we're replacing wetlands near the wetlands that we are altering. As you mentioned in the prior hearing on our replication notes, I think we have approximately 160 plants being imported to create the replication, but we're also specifying that the contractor reuse the soils from the alteration areas to help establish the replication zone. So we think that's a great idea, and we are proposing that as part of this project, and it's specifically outlined on sheet 12 of the drawing set that would be the requirement for the replication component of the project. As with all of your projects, this was reviewed by your peer review consultant. We do have a clean sign-off regarding the replication, the stormwater management systems, and also they evaluated for planning all of the planning-related items for this project. This has gone through the planning board review process and has, in fact, received an approval from the planning board for the plans that are before you this evening. So we believe we meet the performance standards of the Wetlands Protection Act, and we do meet the planning board standards as they have approved the project. I think that's a brief overview of everything we have before you this evening. Again, we've tried to, maximize the buffers and minimize the alteration as in keeping with the Wetlands Protection Act. And I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Okay, again, to reiterate, I have some familiarity with the planning board on this, and quite honestly, this one was reviewed a bit more extensively, simply because the amount of crossing and the amount of wetland on there. This was delineated several years ago and had been reviewed, and this property has been looked at for years for potential development. And there was a subdivision proposed there with multiple homes, I don't know, 20 some odd homes years ago. I guess that fell through, and now we have the solar. So I'm glad to hear that you're going to utilize the material from on site. Again, and we think it gives us the best results typically. And your replication area is going to be over 5,000 square feet.
That's correct. Yes.
All right. And so, and you're doing that in multiple locations.
Yes, this is the one. Yeah, we've got a crossing here, so we have replication here.
Yep.
We have a crossing here, we have replication here, and we have a little bit of nicking of the wetlands here, and we have a replication here. So yes, it's in 3 separate locations.
Okay. Which is nice to see that you're replicating in an area close to where you're actually impacting. So that's nice. So, yeah, again, EPG reviewed this for all stormwater management, all that. They did a review. We asked them to review for both conservation perspective and for the planning. And again, it's usually the stormwater management and that you deal with Concom. And you're right, Steve, you did get a clean bill of health, if you will, and sign off from EPG on that. So like the previous project, we typically have somebody from EPG or an outside consultant go over there to make sure that the wetland replication is where it's supposed to be, what it's supposed to be, and it's actually taking before we sign on a certificate of compliance. So just so you understand that that's how we typically do it going forward.
Okay, that makes sense.
All right. Does anybody have any questions from the board or from the general public?
I'm good, Kevin.
Okay, excellent.
I'm good, Kevin.
All right. That being said, then, I will entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
I'll second it.
Okay, good. It's all right. Motion's made to close the public hearing. All in favor signify by saying aye. Roll call. Keith Mello.
Aye.
Charlie Sullivan.
Aye.
Keith Mello states aye. Charlie Sullivan states aye. Kevin Damaris states aye. Motion carries unanimous. All right. I know we keep using the word straightforward, but maybe it's just because we've seen so many over the years. I'm confident in the project and its success given the rigor and the amount of oversight that Environmental Partners has done on this. And I can appreciate the fact that we're getting a significant amount of replication area back too. So with that being said, I will entertain a motion that we approve the plans as submitted with the condition that we receive a letter or from Environmental Partners or a peer review relative to the success of the replication areas.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second that motion.
Motion's been made and supported. Any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Roll call vote. Charlie Sullivan.
Aye.
Charlie Sullivan states aye. Keith Mello.
Aye.
Keith Mello states aye. Kevin Damaris states aye. Motion carries unanimous.
Very good.
Okay,
Thank you
and
very
another
much,
thing-
gentlemen.
Yes, thank you, sir, and have a good night.
All right, you too now. Take care.
Yep, bye-bye now. Yep. So, gentlemen, there's going to be a bunch of things for you guys to sign. So if you can make your way down to Town Hall in the next day or two, so we can sign off on the approvals and all, and we can get those mailed out to the applicants, that would be great.
I'll go by Town Hall
there's-
tomorrow. Who has them, Kevin?
Cool. Mike will have them. If you come by Town Hall, make sure it's after 10 o'clock.
Okay.
Hold on. He's
How
going to
about
need a
right
boot. What's that?
then?
No. You know what, Keith? It's come by on Thursday. We might not be ready for tomorrow. So, and I know
Thursday?
you're working
Okay.
Wednesday. So, yeah. So if you can come by Wednesday, if not, come by Thursday.
Okay.
Cool. Thanks. We have new business number 8. Mike, are you talking? Can you? Yeah. Why don't you talk to them about that? Because Mike, I've asked him to talk about the next few things because he's in an assessor's office. He has intimate knowledge of these things.
I am unmuted. Yes, so 8A, I'm going to take 3 of these together, 8A, 8B, 8C. These properties are what you just approved for solar projects on Quantapug Road and Braley Road. Those properties are in the Chapter 61 Forestry Program. So when those properties are either going to be sold or converted to a non-qualifying use, the town has a right of first refusal to purchase the property. In this case, because the property is not being sold, it would require both parties to get appraisers, appraise the value of the property that's being converted, and come up with a number for purchase. It would be high. It would be unusual. The town typically does not purchase the chapter program land. That's not to say that it never will happen, but it's not happened to date. And in the cases of these properties, you would be attempting to purchase only the portions that are going to be used for solar. So you would somehow have to cut the portions out by Route 140 out. Ultimately, it's probably not something that you would want to do, but it is an option that you have, and the relevant departments have to give their thumbs up or thumbs down to doing so.
Mr. Chairman, if it so pleases you, I'll make a motion that we refuse to make an offer on site.
Kevin stepped out of the room, so Keith, if you want to second that, I'll do his part.
I'll second that, Mike.
Okay. There is a motion and a second. A motion by Charlie, second by Keith, to not exercise the right of first refusal on those 3 properties. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, that was an aye for Charlie and an aye for Keith, and I'll call that an abstain from Kevin since he's out of the room.
All right.
Well, you can probably jump down to number 10 for the moment, because I was going to talk about that one too. You may or may not have seen an email that went out this afternoon with some diagrams of properties. Charlie will remember this from last year. Keith, this will be new for you. Last year we had 2 properties, Porter Pasture and the Betsy Tabor land out on Nestles Lane, that we applied for grants to have forest management plans done. That grant cycle is open again. And so I have completed applications for, it's actually more than 4 properties, but because some of them are adjoining, it's 4 applications. And once again, the work, the forest management may not be done for some time, but the plans are good for 10 years. So it's a good idea to apply when the grants are available. And the 4 applications, one is for 144 acres on East Howland Road. That is the land that was left over from the Chase Farm subdivision that was given to the Conservation Commission. That one would apply for both forest management and bird habitat, because it's a pretty wet area out there, so there wouldn't be a lot of forestry, maybe. Another application, excuse me, is for 2 parcels off of Christopher Drive in Holly Ridge that were given to the Conservation Commission when that subdivision was completed, and an additional parcel off of Proprietor's Way that adjoins those parcels. The total of those 3 parcels together is 136 acres. The third one is area off of High Plains Street. Off of High Plains Street, that's land that you currently own plus land that you will most likely be getting at the town meeting in October. That totals to 116 acres. And the final application is for 21 acres, which is off of Bryant Street on the Berkeley line. That was land that was given to the Conservation Commission back in the 70s by the Winslow family, Eleanor Winslow and such. So generally what happens if the grants are approved, then that pays half or more of the cost of having the forestry plans done. If the grants are not approved, then you reevaluate whether you want to spend the money to have the plans done or try to apply again in the future. So it's up to you guys. You probably just want to motion and vote whether to turn in the applications or not, or if you have any other questions.
I make a motion to apply for the grant.
I'll second that motion.
Motion's been made and supported to apply for the 4 grants. Any discussion on the motion? I'd just like to say thanks again, Mike. I know oftentimes that we don't realize or know what's going on or what you're doing, but clearly you're doing some good stuff, so certainly appreciate it.
Thank you.
That doesn't mean that we don't know that you do any work. It's just there are a lot of things that go unnoticed, and we don't realize it. But these things don't happen by themselves, so it takes people to put these into practice. So thanks again. So that being said, motion made and supported to apply for the grants. I'll call the vote. Roll call vote. Charlie Sullivan.
Aye.
Charlie Sullivan states aye. Keith Mello.
Aye.
Keith Mello states aye. Kevin Damaris states aye. Mike, is there anything else?
Yep, so I did, what's left for you to do, rather, would be 8D, 8E, and 9.
Okay.
8D is the seasonal worker funding.
Okay, so we'd asked, I believe, last year,
Last few years.
for some help with seasonal part-time employment, things like opening and closing the gates down at Porter Pastures, making sure that the property's clean, looking at other conservation-owned areas. We keep getting this land given to us, and it's great that we have it, but at the end of the day, it's nice to get some eyes on it too. So we've been approved. They have left the money in there for our part-time help. So I just wanted to let you guys know that that money's still going to be in there. And if we're successful, then the Conservation Commission would then hire a couple of seasonal helpers. But that won't happen until probably next spring is when we'll decide to hire them at that point in time. So just an FYI. They said E. We've got an opening. Obviously, Mike has been successful in getting the assistant assessor's position. And out of the kindness of his heart, he has been helping us out with conservation. He's doing a bang-up job. We still have a job posting. We're finding it difficult, quite honestly. We've only had a handful of applicants, and I don't think any of them, I know none of them had any kind of experience, and I don't think any of them were too excited about the 10-hour a week. But if you know anybody, it's 10 hours a week. I'd love to have them more hours, and if we can get more money in our budget, we will do that. But right now, it's a 10-hour a week. So if you know of anybody that's looking for a part-time gig, hold on. Go ahead, Mike.
I don't know if you're trying to share that. Of course, it's just advertised for a agent.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Mattapoise's retirement and agent. We may need to re-examine that in the future, quite honestly. You know, we keep relying on volunteers to do some of the heavy lifting, and it's unfortunate, but, you know, some of us are going to be getting off and, you know, off the commissions in the next several years, and it's probably a time we need to start looking at how we do things as a whole, but right now, I'm just thankful that we can get some people down there to clean up Porter Pasture and close the gate, keep some of the problems from happening down there. So that's good news. And the clerical applicants, like I said, haven't had too many. If we don't get many more and there's no movement on it, we may have to consider trying to increase the hours to get a viable candidate. It's just nobody's knocking down the doors for 10 hours a week with no benefits. So, was there anything else, Mike, that you left? 9. Oh, does anybody have a motion on the minutes? Y'all get a chance to read them?
I had the motion. I'll make a motion that we accept the minutes as read.
I'll second that motion.
Motion's been made and supported to accept the minutes as read. Roll call vote. Charlie Sullivan.
Aye.
Charlie Sullivan states aye. Keith Mello.
Aye.
Keith Mello states aye. Kevin Damaris states aye. Motion passes unanimously. I don't remember signing any bills, Mike. We have no bills. It's a good month here. We don't have any bills. So unless anybody has anything else to add, I will accept everybody's favorite motion.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second
My
that motion.
friend, huh? You're a new guy and you know what everybody's favorite motion is.
It's not my first day.
No. All right, so we'll do a roll call vote and a motion to adjourn. Charlie Sullivan.
Aye.
Charlie Sullivan states aye. Keith Mello.
I'll abstain.
Oh, somebody drank the funny juice today. All right, so Keith Mello, you're going to.
I'm just kidding. Aye.
All right, I know. All right, so Keith Mello states aye, and Kevin Damaris states aye. Hey guys, thanks. This is just so everybody knows. I think this is our Freetown's first Conservation Commission Zoom meeting, so it went pretty well and was successful. We're going to continue to move forward with this until such time that we can either have more people in one location and we have bathrooms available to them, or this Corona goes bye-bye. So anyway, thanks guys. Have a great week. I'll reach out to both of you and let you know what Niall says. We'll look to see if we can't do this either Thursday or Friday.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, guys.
All
Yeah.
right. Thanks, Kevin.
All right.
Take care.
Thanks,
Have-
guys. Have a great night. Yep.
Okay. You
Bye-bye.
too. Bye.